sense of who you really are, okay? Because what they want to know is that, are you going to be, as I keep on repeating this, are you going to be successful in the position that you're applying or the position that they have? All right. So Pragya actually put the attendance of form here on the chat for those people who just came in, Michelle and Keshav. If you can kindly do the attendance, and yeah, all right. And so I would like to find out as well, Michelle and Keshav, what kind of profession or job are you looking for, so we can actually give a specific example on your industry. You can just use the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Go ahead. Yeah, speak up. Yeah.
Hi, Michelle here.
Yeah.
I'm in the public relations program.
Okay, excellent. Public relations. So are you looking for a PR kind of job? Communication specialist? Okay, excellent. Okay. And graphic designing. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we can direct our example on those things. So anyhow, so we were just discussing what employers want from a candidate, okay, or what they want on the resume, basically. All right. So they want a clear history of your a clear overview of your work history, and of course your experience and things that you can do for the job. Okay. I will repeat this again. As I said, the resume, anything relevant to the position must be on the resume. Okay. And we'll talk about that and how you can actually customize your resume. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, for those people who just missed it, there are 3 types of resume. One is chronological resume. The other one is functional resume. And the third one is the combination or hybrid resume. So let's talk about the chronological resume. I'm pretty sure majority of you have the chronological resume. Okay. So when is it best used? When is this chronological resume best used? When you plan to stay in a similar field. Okay, so for instance, and you want to apply for an IT, and then your current job is in IT or help desk. Okay, or you're applying for a communication specialist, and the last job that you had is basically, I'll say, social media communication officer or whatever. So it's relevant to the position or related to the position that you're applying for, then a chronological will work best for you. What else? There are no large gaps in your employment history. So you did not, so that's self-explanatory. Your work history shows the development and increasing responsibility. So for instance, you were a help desk person or a help desk support person, IT support, and then your current job, your first job is a help desk technician, and then your current job is that you're an IT supervisor, and then you'd like to apply for an IT in the same field. Chronological will work best for you because they can see the progression of your career in that field. Okay. Any questions? I think somebody wants to speak up. No? Okay, no problem. So if at any point of this presentation you have any questions, bring it up. I would like to have an interactive, more questions. The more questions that you ask, the better for us to be able to help you with your resume. Okay. What else is, when is this best used? What else is like when the name of your recent employer is highly prestigious and important in the industry. So if, for instance, you are applying for a massage therapist and you worked with Hand and Stone, spa, and they are quite all over Toronto, and then that it's a quite popular place to go for massage, and so you can actually make use of the chronological resume. Okay, another one would be employer expect this format in a traditional venues like education, government, Fortune 500, but not necessarily. I would say nowadays it's changing because if, for instance, the government, because I work in the government, my full-time job is in a government job. My resume was a functional resume. Okay, it's a basically combination. So depending on who is reading your resume, but then I would always advise you to make sure that you tailor your resume based on the job that you're looking for. All right. So that's a chronological resume, and a chronological resume is arranged in a reverse chronological order. So meaning the first job is at the bottom and the current job is on top. Okay. And so we will show you a sample of a chronological resume. Here is a sample of a chronological resume. So the summary of qualification is very important. Okay. This is basically an overview of your technical skills, overview of your soft skills, and overview of your transferable skills. And most of the time, the transferable skills are soft skills, but there's also technical skills that can be transferred to different job. Like I'll give you a good example. Using Microsoft Office. You can use that in any job. It's a technical skills, but you can actually use it to different jobs. So the qualifications should describe an overview. And you can see here, it's not starting with an action verb. Okay, so it's just describing strong communication skills, demonstrate or proven ability to plan, to draw, to design, those kind of things. Creative, so you're just describing what you can do. Okay, and then the work history, then you have the position, the company name, the location, and then the date. And then after that, there's a bullets behind it or under it. So every duties, key job functions that you can do for the job or that you're doing in the job. So see, this one is more focused on the job that you're doing. So for instance, you're applying for a communication specialist. Okay, so and then your last job is a social media communication officer, and then you can just put there everything that you can actually put, or all the duties that you've been performing. Okay, and so this one, as I said, will work for those people who would like to stay in the same field. So if you are not working in your field and the field of your interest, then this one will never work for you. So let's discuss the functional resume. Okay, the second style. Okay, the functional resume is a skills-based resume. Okay, so this is best used when you are changing industry, okay, and making a significant career change. Another thing is that if there's a substantial gap, so for instance, you're studying right now and you're not working, and so that's a substantial gap. So for instance, you're studying for 2 years or 4 years. That's a really long gap. And so this will work for you, and you will see the format and how you're going to use this one. Okay. And then when you held a series of short-term jobs or contract positions. So for instance, you've been an IT support for not really, it's supposed to be not related, or you are a gas attendant in ESO, and then sales associate in the Gap, and then you want to be an IT or a graphic designer, so this one will work best for you because you can actually highlight those skill set that you gain from school on this resume, and I will show you when I show you the sample. Okay. Another thing is that when you do not have much work experience in the field, okay, this will work best for you. And then also your work history shows a little development or increase of responsibility. So I say, there's nothing to really highlight on the resume because you only have like a few, I say, job duties that, and maybe the job duties is not related to the job that you're applying for. Okay, so this is the sample of a functional resume. If you look at it, you will have of course, the heading, your name, your address, your phone number, and then there's a summary of qualification, which is very important. As I said, you only have a few seconds of their time to really understand your resume. And that's the reason why it's very important to have that qualifications. Okay. And then after that, you will insert this before work history. You have to have this portion, relevant skills and experience. And then you have to subdivide it into 2 to 3 subcategories related to the position that you're applying for. Okay. And so the next one would be the work history. And you look at it, if you can look at closely, it's just position, company name, location, and then the date. No more duties, because it's not focused on your duties. It's more focused on your transferable skills. So for instance, your work right now is a gas attendant. And okay, so that's your work history, gas attendant. And then the other job, the first job will be a sales associate in the Gap store, clothing store. And you want to apply for a graphic designer, or you want to apply for an IT or a communication specialist, all right, or a massage therapist. So if you don't have experience, this will be the best format for you. So how are you going to do this if you're an IT? So under relevant skills and experience, you may want to say there help desk, okay, or technical support or help desk support. The second one would be administration and documentation. And then the work history will be gas attendant, SO, and then sales, the Gap. And see, now what you can do now is put everything that you learn in school here under relevant skills and experience. And that's the reason why you're going back to school, is to gain that skill set that you would like to get into, the careers that you would like to get into. All right. So let's go for the example of a massage therapist. So the same job, for instance, you have a job like you're selling clothes in whatever, okay, and then you don't have a massage therapist kind of experience. So what you may want to do here on the relevant experience and skills, you have to subdivide it there, subdivide it in 2 categories. What would be the good subcategory there? Anybody? Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, healthcare. Okay, so that would be the first one, healthcare or patient care or whatever health. I would say healthcare. Okay, and then the next one would be can be customer service or administration. All right, but then now you can put it here on your functional resume what you've learned in school. Okay. The same goes with the graphic designing. So if you don't have any experience in the graphic designing, functional will work for you. And then you can actually have a 2 subcategory here. The first one is designing and graphics or print, whatever you want to say. And then the second one would be maybe client relations. Okay. And now you can put everything that you gain in school, like your projects, your homework, the designing projects that you did in school. So that's the beautiful thing about the functional resume, is that you can put here what you've gained in school and also the one that you gain at work, but should be relevant to the position that you're applying for. Okay. Does it make sense? Any questions? Any thoughts? Questions? I'm hoping that you're understanding how you can make use of functional and the chronological resume. Thoughts? How about Michelle? Michelle, you're applying for, in the future, you'll be applying for communication specialist, right?
Yes, something like that.
So if you don't, do you have any experience in communication, being a communication specialist or public relations?
No.
And so this is a good example, like you don't have experience, so you may want to create a functional resume, and then how are you going to subdivide the category? What do you think would be, so if, for instance, the job is communication specialist, okay? What would be the first category under the relevant skills and experience? What do you think? Depending on the job that you're applying for, it can be a communication specialist as a social media person or marketing. Sorry. Okay. I think Kashav, okay, no problem. So yeah, so the first category would be social media communication or marketing. Okay, depending on what the position is, what the description of the job position that you're applying for, make sure that you get the general accountability of the job, and then you'll be able to identify what categories you can put under the relevant skills and experience. But I can see that you can actually put their marketing, social media, if that's a part of the job, depending on the job, PR, public relations. Okay, so that's how you're gonna be preparing a functional resume. All right, so we're done with the functional resume. Do you have any questions before we move on? Questions? No, we have a quiet group today. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, so I have a question. So I'm in the massage therapy program, right? And
Yeah.
I'm actually currently doing the topic on resume and cover letter. So I'm in the process of like starting that assignment for my program. I wanted to, in my case, like I do have experience in customer care
Oh, okay.
as like my part-time job. So would that be under experience? However, like because I have multiple jobs that I did in the customer care field, would I put those like in chronological order from what I did, like my recent one, and then like the ones that I did before, like at like per se at the bottom under that one?
Yeah, that's a very good question,
Yeah.
Kadrain. So
Yeah.
I think with your experience, I would recommend you preparing this kind, the chronological resume, because you have a direct experience in the field. And if you still want to apply for that field, then you can show them that you have a direct experience and also education. And so you will be doing this as a chronological. The first job will be at the bottom, and the most recent one, the current job will be on top.
Okay. And
Okay.
that goes for the education subtitle as well, right? So your most recent education, which will be Humber right now, and then any previous past post-secondary education that you completed in the past as well.
Well, depending on what you completed, because for us it's like it should be the highest education on top.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that, like obviously like high school, if you finished that like years ago, you wouldn't put that because
Correct. So the highest education. So if you have a bachelor's degree in science, in biology or whatever, that will be the first one. But then if it's irrelevant, so for instance, your bachelor's degree is basically film, and then you want to be a massage therapist, and right now you're taking a massage therapist therapy program, then that should be the first one. You see what I mean? Okay. All right. Good question. Good question. I love that. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. So there you go. So if you have experience, use the chronological resume. If you don't have experience, use this functional resume. All right. Now, let's go to the third one. The third one is kind of, I'll say, a bigger resume because it's a combination of the chronological and the functional, because we call it hybrid resume. So when you want to use this kind of format, you have to have a wide variety of skills. Okay, so you have like a good years of experience in the field, and so it may not work for everybody. But if you do have a lot of experience to share or to highlight on the resume, the combination will be good. All right. So how is the format of this one? So this one is basically, you have the summary of qualifications. Okay, let me just point this. You have the summary of qualifications, and then you still have this functional style on your resume, and then the second page would be the work history, and the work history is with the duties still. Okay, so that's the combination. All right. So as I said, if you have a wide variety of skills, then this will work for you, because the social worker person, this example, I know it's not, no one is here is actually a social worker, but then the example is a social worker and showing that he has a counseling and also case management, you know, those kind of thing. And so she wants to highlight this this skill set, and so they can see that she can also do some counseling, all right, and also that case management and documentation. All right, there you go. So that's the combination resume. Now I want to ask you, is any one of you like looking at preparing a combination resume for your when you look for work, or when you prepare your resume? Anyone? You just say yes, no on the chat if you're. I would like to find out if you are you thinking of using this hybrid kind of resume? Yes, yeah. If by all means, you know, if you have the skill set, like for instance, you're in graphic designing, you know how to design the one in print and web designing, and also you have print ad, you know, those kind of mock-ups, you know, those kind of thing, and then you can actually put that on the functional style, and then still you have the duties at the end of it. For those people who doesn't have any a lot of experience, then you know what, that's okay. You can either use the functional or chronological resume. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So how to develop a winning resume? So first and foremost, you need to really analyze and understand the job description of the posting. Okay. So analyze it, find out the skills and abilities and skills and experience that they're looking for, and research the occupation to fully understand the job requirements. Because when you research a lot of like job posting, and I will recommend to really look at like 5 different job postings from different employers, for instance, a graphic designer, and then you may want to look at it, understand it, and then find out what are the keywords or buzzwords on those job posting, and then get those buzzwords and put it on your resume. I don't want you to copy and paste everything, but then get the most important keywords and make use of it and use it on your resume. Because remember, those are the keywords of the employer, and they want to hear those words. They want to see those words on your resume. So it's really very important to really, I'll say, research and collect like jobs, 5 different or 3 different jobs, and combine it and make it your own. Okay. And then identify your experiences and skills that match the position. Okay. So you need to make sure that you're identifying what do you have, and then compare it with the job posting. And then create a list of professional skills and qualifications relevant to the job. So whatever is matching, and then as long as it's relevant, then put it on the resume. Then after you analyze that, you identify all the skill set, then you have to write a descriptive phrases. We call it accomplishment statements, an impactful statement by using, of course, if it's in the work history and relevant skills and experience, it should start with action verbs. Okay. So like, for instance, monitored, designed, created, troubleshoot. Okay. Or I say perform, you know, so you're starting with action verbs before you complete your statements. Okay. And then of course you have to choose a format that works best for you. But then hopefully now you understand what format will work best for you, then make use of it. Okay. Next, keywords. As I said, I've been saying this word. What are those keywords that I've been talking about? Keywords are specific words or phrases that the job seekers use to search for jobs and the employers use to find the right candidates. Of course, they have to read your resume, and if you have the right keywords on your resume, you might be called for an interview. Okay? Keywords are used to search as search criteria in the same way you do research on the internet, and that's really true. So, for instance, and a massage therapist, like as you say, customer care can be a keyword. Okay. And in IT, you know what your keywords would be: the software, the hardware that you know, the languages that you know, those kind of things. And so in graphic designing, I'll say Illustrator, Adobe Suite. You know, is that correct? There's so many, and then InDesign, there's so many more in graphic designing, right?
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so like keywords, you mean like for instance, you will put logistic skills, teamwork skills, collaborative skills, like stuff like those keywords to like highlight those, especially if they're on the job posting of the employer. Those are what you would put under your experiences, like if you have them, right? Correct?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
you're thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're thinking. I like that. That you're thinking. Yes, when
Thank
you, for instance, you get customer care, right? And then they said license, for instance, license in massage therapist kind of thing. And then you may want to say perform massage and then with a license in something like that. So you need to mention all those keywords, okay? And then create a statement that includes that keywords. That's the way and it's supposed to be under work history. Okay, if you have the experience. If you don't have experience, if you're making a functional resume, then it should be under relevant skills and experience. Okay. All right. Okay. So what else is here? More keywords you use, the more closely the job will match what you are really looking for. Like for instance, I don't know in public relations, what would be the keywords there? Would marketing would be part of the keywords, social media, client research, you know, those kind of things. So those are the things that you may want to really look for, because really it's very difficult to come up with an accomplishment statements just from just thinking about it. But when you do a research, when you read some job posting, it will remind you of like, oh yeah, I can do that thing. Oh yeah, I performed that thing in my project. So you can write it down on your resume. And that's the idea, is to make sure that you're getting or mirroring or customizing your resume based on the job posting. Okay? Any questions with regard to the keywords? Thoughts? Because see, I would like to you to really share your thoughts, because we would like to learn from you as well, because you might know something that we don't know, you know, those kind of things. And if you disagree with some of the statements here in the presentation, we would love to hear that, because the thing is really it's about learning, right? So yeah, so any thoughts, questions?
I feel it's pretty straightforward right now. Yeah.
Excellent.
A lot of good points, and
Okay.
I really appreciate that, because sometimes, like a lot of times, especially if you don't have experience with like a lot of jobs, it could be difficult monitoring like what to put on a resume. Because honestly speaking, like I have experience, and sometimes it's even difficult for me to put into words like what exactly they want, right? So it really helps that you stated keywords to put into it that they have on their website that could potentially like catch their eye,
Mm-hmm.
to look into your resume even further, right? So I feel like that's a really good point to make about what to put on a resume. And yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Absolutely, absolutely. Like, especially I can speak for myself. I have a foreign sounding last name, De Leon. And then if I don't put excellent verbal and written communication skills on my resume, they may think that I cannot speak English. So that's very important. When you see it on the job posting that they're looking for an excellent or strong communication skills, put that on your resume. It doesn't really matter if you have a foreign, a Western last name. It's part of the job description. And those keywords are very important. Use it and use it for your advantage. And that's it's supposed to be, because the thing is a lot of time, oh yeah, they should know I studied here. No, 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 no. If you don't put it on your resume, they will assume you don't know. Okay? I would like to clarify that. And thank you for that really thought, Kadrain. That's really, really, really great. Thank you. All right. Mhm. Okay. So where to find these keywords? As I said, I've been talking about it. The job posting is the most important thing first. And then if you don't know, if you cannot find it in the job posting, but I'm pretty sure you'll find it in the job posting, company websites, okay, organization websites, the Humber website, for your program. Another one would be Google it on the internet, sample of resume, sample of like graphic designing resume, or a public relations resume, or IT resume, and you will get a lot. I'm telling you, there's so much on the web and the internet that you can actually get, and then get information on how to write your accomplishment statements. And of course, if you would like to research the NOC, which is the National Occupational Classification, wherein they have codes for every job under the sun. Even oyster shocker will be there. Okay, so anything. And then you will find out more about the occupation themselves. And so you understand it very well. And so you can write good accomplishment statements. All right. And last would be the association, the website for the associations that your industry. They have a lot of like keywords that you may find there. But I'm pretty sure with the job posting, you're already a winner on this. Okay. I think somebody would like to say something, typing something. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Because nowadays it's so easy to research because of the internet, it's just on the information is just on the tips of your hands, right, and your fingers, I mean, right? So it's so easy, so make use of that, because I know it's very difficult to really create an accomplishment statement just coming out of what did I do, those kind of things. But then with all those research, you'll be able to develop a really good resume. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll get to, yeah, just keep on typing, and then we'll proceed with this, and then we'll deal with your thoughts when we get your information. All right. So let's look at the parts of the resume, or the content of the resume. As I said earlier, the header should be there. The header can be, of course, the most important thing there is your name, your phone number, and your email. Nowadays, the address, you can omit it if you don't want to, okay? Because some people doesn't want to put their address, that's fine, but it's okay as well to put it there. And then objective. See, this is the thing. There are so many arguments with regards to objective. The objective should be just the title that you're applying for, or the position that you're applying for. Okay. The reason why I would say you must put the job, the objective or the job title that you're applying for, is that if, for instance, you're applying for 5 different jobs in the company, then at least they can actually identify which resume is which. Like, for instance, you're applying for a communication specialist, and then you're also applying for a marketing specialist, and then you're applying as well for a public relation officer. So at least they know which resume is for which position. And so that would be good. So the objective should be just position. No more. I see this statement sometimes, to utilize my education and my skills that will help. You know what? You need to use your skills and your experience and your education. You don't have to say that, but then tell them what are those experience under summary of qualification and also in your work history. So don't create that statement, which is actually, I say, just visually cluttering your resume. It doesn't really mean anything when you say you're going to use your abilities. Of course, you have to. What are those abilities is what do they want to find out. So make sure that the objective is just the position that you're applying for, and I'll say, oops, the job number. Sometimes they have that job number there, so put it there as well. Okay, so here, I am an international student. Do I have to put my country of origin in the resume? Okay, so that's a very good question. Yes, you have to. Okay, because see, IT doesn't, a lot of the jobs nowadays doesn't have a boundary, because you must have a location. And so if it's another country, just say Jamaica. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, and so you don't have to put the city, but just the country. Okay, so there you go. Next part. So the first section is header. Second section would be objective. The second section would be the summary of qualifications, or sometimes they just title it as qualifications or summary of qualifications, whatever you want. Okay. The third one would be work history or work experience, or sometimes they title it as employment history. Now, if you're making a functional resume, after the highlights of qualification, you need to insert the relevant skills and experience, and then work history. Okay. And then, of course, after that would be education and professional development. And then if you have a volunteering job, you may want to put it there. As long as the volunteering job is relevant to the position that you're applying for, you can include it. If it's irrelevant, omit it. Don't even mention it. Okay? Is everybody clear about that? The parts of the resume? Yeah, just put a yes on the chat box if if it's clear to you, or if you have any questions, just bring it up. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, here is how you're gonna create that account from how to create the accomplishment statements, or I would say impactful statement. From you get the keywords, and then you will create this statement. So to create it, you need to have this method, STAR method, situation, task, action, result. But then when you describe the action, do not describe it in details. Okay, just I say I say the highlight, okay, or the main thing that you did as an action taken. All right, but then describing the action that you did will be on the interview. So leave something to be interviewed. Okay, so the situation task is basically action verb. You perform, you monitor, you troubleshoot, you assisted, those kind of things. And then what did you do? Assisted in what? Okay, you trained, whatever you did, or created, designed. Okay, design what? Design packaging, print packaging for Kellogg's or whatever, so describe it. And then what was the result after you design for a layout in such and such, whatever it is. Okay, so it's very important that you see this format. Okay, and so you'll be able to see if your accomplishment statement are complete or incomplete. All right, so here it is. Okay, a good example. Okay, the keyword would be, or part of the keyword would be, the action verb would be manage. So you manage over 1,000 key accounts. Okay, and then a lot of times people will just stop from there. You manage over 1,000 key accounts, done deal. If you cannot answer the question, so what? Then you have to continue your statement. So what if you can manage over 1,000 key accounts? So you may want to complete it by saying, maintaining excellent customer service, gaining over, oh, so this is a continuation. So you manage over 1,000 key accounts and maintained excellent customer relations, gaining over 80% referrals on a monthly basis for new business leads. That's excellent. Okay. For administration, so you redesigned the order process, and then the result would be reducing processing time by 50% and increase revenue by 30%. All right. So these are basically a good accomplishment statements. All right. And so I want you to really think of how you're going to complete those statements, because I often see a lot of resume with a short one. Actually, they have a keywords and description, but no added value. And that's the most important thing. They want to see the success, the result of how you were able to solve the problem or the situation that you're into. Okay. All right. So that's an example. And then here's more. You know, you can say arrange hotel accommodation, reviewed policies and procedures. There's so many. Okay. And as I said, you will see this on your research and then make it your own. If you have it, you need to flaunt it. Okay. But I don't want you to just copy and paste what's on the job posting and lie. Never lie on your resume. As I mentioned at the starting of this workshop, that it can be questioned. Anything that you will put on the resume can be questioned, and a framework for discussion. Okay. Okay, so here's a bad component of a resume. A bad component. I say bad resume. So anything with a grammatical error or typographical error is not an excuse. Okay, so remember, they want to eliminate a lot of candidates. If they're reading dozens of resume or hundreds of resume, what is one to be tossed in the garbage if they see a grammatical error? Okay, so it makes their life easy. So make sure that you read your resume thoroughly and ask somebody to proofread it for you. Because when you're doing your own resume, chances are you are so blind with your own mistakes. So if somebody, another set of eyes is actually reading your resume, they will catch the mistakes. Okay, so make sure that you ask somebody. And we do have services for resume here in Humber. Okay, make use of it. All right, an effective resume is a targeted one, meaning a focused one. More, I would say, you are customizing it to the job that you're applying for. It has to be original. It has to be eye-catching. And you know how to make it eye-catching? Anybody? I want to ask anybody. Do you know how to make it eye-catching? What do you think?
I would like not make it too like busy and colorful, but like somewhat how would I put it, organized and structured in a specific format that's neat.
Very good. Yeah. Organized. Yeah. If the layout is really nice, of course you will read it, right? And so it's very, eye-catching. What else? Nice layout. Yes, very nice. Yeah, absolutely. Nice layout and nice layout, and also nice, very organized. Okay, they can see right away the titles, like for instance, good use of fonts. Yes, change your fonts. A lot of times I would see only like Times New Roman. It's so old, right? And so make sure that you have the right sectioning on your resume so they can understand your resume. Another way to catch their eyes or catch their attention is put numbers and percentage on your accomplishment statements. Because if there's a numeric on all those alphabets, you know what? Their attention will be drawn to it. Mark my word. Okay? If you can quantify things and put percentages, do it. And of course, you have to have it, the statement should be action oriented. Okay? But it has to be concise but informative and error free. All right? Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, that's very good. All right. So let's review our checklist. Okay, so what about we talked about? So you need to ask this question to yourself after you created your resume, after you finish it and complete it. Are there any typos, spelling error, or grammatical errors? Can an average reader understand what you are saying? Is my writing style simple? As you said, Drain, right? It has to be simple, directed, and as powerful as possible. And powerful may be impactful, okay? And have I eliminated redundancy and similar examples? And see, that's the problem with a chronological resume, actually. If you are in the same field, so for instance, you've been a salesperson in the Gap, and then 2 years, and then salesperson in Bell, and then salesperson in Foot Locker, and then you still have to apply for a sales B2B sales and marketing. You can actually have a chronological, but the problem with that is that you have to repeat the same duties over and over again. When you make a functional resume, you just have to mention it once. So that's the beautiful thing about that as well. Okay? All right. Another thing would be, are my accomplishments statements clearly highlighted? And then did I cover all relevant time periods? Is my layout simple? There you go. And then professional and attractive. Is this resume the best face I can show anybody? Okay. So that's the question that you need to ask. And if you say no in one of these, you better change your resume. Okay. All right. Next, cover letter. Okay, so before we go to the cover letter, any questions with regards to the resume? Thoughts? Okay, now I have a question for you, if you don't have any question. So what is the maximum page for a resume? What do you think would be the maximum page? Anybody? 2? What else? Anybody wants to say 1 to 2? Okay.
I don't think there's a maximum page because I've seen resumes up to 8 pages, but I think it's better to stay within 2 to 3.
Absolutely, you're right. You know what? Don't make an eight pages or more than 4 pages, because it will be dragging. You will lose your audience. You know, the perfect one would be 2. Okay, that's the perfect. I would say ideally 2 pages. Government jobs would like a long resume. Actually, my resume was 3 pages, and so if you want to apply for a government job, they want a full description of what you can do that's relevant to the position. So up to the maximum of 4, but not 8. My God, you will lose. They will be like, my goodness, they have so many resumes to read, but that's too much, you know. And I'm pretty sure that 8 pages, a lot of them are irrelevant, so they can eliminate it. All right. Now, with a cover letter, what is a cover letter before we start this one? Okay, I flip it on the next page. Cover letter is a professional way to introduce yourself. So it's to summarize your credentials, and it should always, your resume should always be accompanied by a cover letter, because it's a professional way of doing things, because it's just saying that, oh, here is my resume, please read it. Okay, and so it's an introduction. Okay, and so it also displays your communication skills if you have a good cover letter. Okay. Okay, parts of the cover letter. So of course you have the header, same. I would say copy the same formatting as you have on your resume. and put it on the cover letter. And then, of course, you start it with the date that you're sending the letter, the addressee, the salutation, okay? And then the paragraphs, limited to 3 paragraphs. If you can't help it, 4, maximum of 4. And then, of course, your signature, okay? So when you're addressing the addressee, of course, the company name and the full address of the company, and then the salutation. If, for instance, you don't know the name, do not put dear to whom it may concern. No, that's not right for an application. It has to be with somebody. So dear hiring manager. So that's what you have to write there if you don't know the name. Okay. So what are we supposed to write on the paragraph? The first paragraph should be 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, 1 to 3 sentences. It's up to you. What you have to write here is that what position are you applying for? Okay, and where did you hear about the position? So that's it. So that's the first paragraph. Next paragraph. This one is more nitty-gritty. Okay, it can be 3, 4, or up to 5 sentences. Okay, and so what you have to write here is that the keywords, the most important keywords that you know that they're looking for that job. So for instance, I would get the 3 subcategories on your summary of under your relevant skills and experience. So for instance, graphic designing, creating the design, you know, those kind of thing. What are a few of your work, you know, those kind of thing. Make sure that you create a very compelling cover letter. Okay, you have a passion for this, and why do you have a passion for that kind of industry? Explain it. And so here you can explain what you have to offer, what are the main skill set that you will bring into the table, okay, and why should they hire you, okay? And if you have the education aligned to the position that you're looking for, put it in, okay? And so that's the thing. The second paragraph is the most, I would say, important thing, because that's the skill set that you can offer the job. Okay. Next would be the last paragraph. Now, this one is optional. So if you're planning to complete your program, tell them there. Tell them the third paragraph. Okay. And then the last paragraph is basically to invite them to interview you. And always thank the interviewer or the hiring person reading and considering your resume. Okay. And then this is the example of a cover letter. Okay. And there you go. All right. So that's basically the presentation. Do you have any questions with regards to the cover letter? Or any questions that maybe we did not discuss on the presentation? Should the letter have a title? What do you mean title? The position, the title of the position? Yes, you should. Because on the first paragraph, what position are you applying for? So you have to put that there. Okay? Is that the title that you're asking? Yes, okay. Perfect, perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. If you don't have any other questions, please fill out the survey form for us. Any feedback from you, we'll gladly appreciate it. And thank you for your time. And I wish you all the very best on your job searching. Okay? You're very welcome. Thank you so much. Okay? Thank you. Mhm. Have a good evening, everybody. We'll stay back for a little bit more, and then we'll go.